Okay, and we have Mr. Jeremy Reese, the alien scientist himself. How are you today, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing very well, very well. I'll let you take it away from here.
Awesome. So, basically, what we're going to talk about today is transportation systems of the future. And I talk about a lot of different stuff on the show. And stuff that I talk about from week to week may change. So, people that I have on my show or the producers are not responsible for any of the views presented here on this show, just so everyone knows. And we're going to talk about transportation technologies today. I talk about a lot of different types of technologies in the future, and I try to really look at what is going to be the next cutting edge thing in the future. And my guest for today is a guy named Nick Garzilli. And Nick is the COO, corporate operating officer, I believe, of ET3.com, the evacuated tube transport technologies, which is the tube where they suck all the air out. It's the high speed rail of the future. It's basically what's going to replace the Concorde jet or the passenger jet. It's really a high speed, long range kind of transport. It's not the short range other transport systems that we talked about 2 weeks ago with J-Pod. It's a little bit different than that. And we're going to talk about basically the biggest problems with ET3 technology, and some of the benefits of maybe getting involved with solving these problems and helping this company out, because this will be the future one day. And if you get in on a project like this early, it will probably be beneficial to you. It's kind of an interesting way the company is structured. I am actually a licensee of ET3. I became a licensee after doing some research on the company. I came up with this idea independently of using maglevs combined with evacuated tubes, so that you could have super high speed and basically limitless speed. As long as you can make the tube straight, you can go in incredible velocities through these types of things. But the biggest problem is the superconductors, and there's a lot of engineering issues that are going to need to be solved in order to build this thing and make it work successfully. And as far as a traffic interface, there's also a lot of automation and process control, and that's going to be needed to be developed for these systems to work. So I'm going to bring Nick on, and he's going to discuss a lot of these things with me and answer a lot of the questions that people have about this. I kind of know what people have been asking. I've done a lot of videos on this in the past, and I read the comment logs on those videos and try to see what most people want to know about these systems within reasonable questions that we can answer. And so hopefully Nick can come on anytime, and we'll give him a call right now and get him on the show to discuss with us the finer points and details of evacuated tube transport systems. I'm wearing the shirt, by the way, ET3. It's the logo right here.
Hello.
Okay, Jeremy, we have him on the line.
Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, Jeremy.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear him, Jeremy?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
How you doing?
Good. So, Nick, why don't you tell us about yourself and how you got involved with ET3, and for people who don't already know you from our last video that we did.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my name is Nick Garzilli. I live in Los Angeles. I grew up in Brentwood, which is the whole O.J. Simpson thing. That was my high school years. Saw the bodies at his house when he got chased home. So that's probably the most interesting thing that happened, in my formative years. And then how did I get into ET3? Well, let's fast forward. I used to originally I wanted to make movies. I went to USC film and theater, and graduated theater 2002, and then was an actor and of course a waiter. So my story of becoming an executive is interesting, but I always had a passion for politics, and I always had this niggling feeling in me that I needed to do something bigger. And what happened was that my son, I met my wife, and then my son was born, and I was a stay-at-home dad, wrote a screenplay that had been in my head for 10 years, and I got so fed up with the corruption that I was seeing in the world, I guess you could say that I woke up, that I decided to run for Congress. And, of course, no shot. You know, I'm going to run against Henry Waxman, who's been my congressman since I was, I think, actually before I was born. And I decided to run for Congress. So I got a logo, and I filed all the papers at the FEC, and then I sat down. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to talk to people about? How am I going to solve these problems? And I kind of going down a rabbit hole in the internet. I came across first the Zeitgeist movement, and then the Zeitgeist Addendum, which is, I guess, the second one, and the Venus Project. And then I was watching, and in the interview with Jacques Fresco of the Venus Project, he says there's a company. He's talking about the future and some of these magnificent things. But he said when it comes to the transportation systems he was talking about, because there's a company actually trying to do this. And I saw ET3, ET3.com. I immediately went to it. And then I went to YouTube and typed in ET3, and then up popped your video that you did for ET3. And it was my birthday, actually. And I immediately got it. I just stood up, and this rush of energy went through my body, and I just immediately understood that this was possible. And it's so simple. It goes back to sophomore year physics class, and I did well in physics and geometry. I was top of my class. That's as much of an engineer as I am.
Right.
It reminded me of sophomore year of physics class, and a feather and a pebble in a vacuum tube, and they both travel the same speed. And then,
well, I am a physicist, so I'm going to be asking you a lot of detailed questions about some physics, about ET3, and not everything, but mostly we're going to focus on superconductors, one of the most important elements of it, and we're going to talk about some new kinds of materials which are theoretical superconductors, which could be produced and maybe solve this problem of room temperature superconductivity, which would be a massive step. Let's I want to get into this because we don't have very long to get into this stuff. So we got 1 hour. We got 1 hour. So
okay.
let's
yes, fire the questions at me. I'm pretty good. I know mostly everything about ET3. So
right. So I'll start with the superconductors. The superconductor technology. It's basically this Meissner effect, or this quantum locking. Some people call it, and I want to talk about this 2D tin, thin tin. It's this super thin. It's called staining, and it's a new theoretical superconductor that could be room temperature. And I think with metamaterials and some of the things we're learning about the way that materials behave on the quantum level when you change their shape, and just the geometry of them on the quantum level through metamaterials or quasi-crystals, some of these other technologies that I've been talking about for 8 years now on the internet, saying this is going to be the future, pay attention. I think that those materials will eventually unlock the puzzle of superconductivity and the real problem of building room temperature superconductors, which would make this major piece of the puzzle so much more achievable. But I just going to say that this is going to be the future, and this is going to be a multi-million-dollar global worldwide transit system, which if you get in on this and be part of this company, you could just a small amount of support could turn into a fortune for you. It'd be like getting in on Microsoft early on in the formation of that kind of a company. So I just want to encourage people out there to look into the company yourself. Of course, do your own research. It's only $100 for a license, and then do whatever you can to help promote ET3. And someone out there is really close to building some of these superconductor devices. I think we're really close to cracking some of these puzzles within the scientific community, and it's only a number of years before we have the technology to really do this cheaply. But there's also a lot of other issues when you're dealing with vacuums. For example, we talked a bit about that in our last interview and whatnot. But I want to talk specifically about traffic automation and how how these capsules are going to be able to load and offload and not like back up ones behind them, and just the port systems and possibilities of making ET3 or designing the technology to be compatible with other modes of transport for low speed transport, like citywide or networks, or just residential countrywide low speed, like highways, and also maybe low speed where they can actually get off the highway at these ports and drive a distance on a battery or something, talking about like I don't know, there's a lot of different questions I asked in there. So why don't we start with the superconductor wasn't more or less a question, but why don't we start with the automation sequences?
I'll just try to go through them one by one. I mean, ET3 is shovel ready for 400 miles per hour, probably up to around 600 or 700 miles an hour. That's off-the-shelf linear motors you can find in amusement rides right now. There is some question about using the same linear motors that could then get you up to 4,000 miles per hour, and that is where the superconductivity comes into it. So, again, whatever you're reading, I'd love to read. So send it on to me and see I'll try to figure out what the best uses of it would be at ET3. As far as the automation, yes, automation. Just imagine all the telephone operators today would take to move all of our calls and emails. I mean, you think you'd have a couple lost emails, a couple dropped calls? That's kind of where transportation is headed. So transportation is on the verge of being automated. We've seen with Google cars have gotten the green light in 3 states, and that's in the chaotic environment of the current plane of transportation. So we're going to take things up to a whole nother plane, a third plane. We're above the city streets. You'll have little pod cars, and then you'll have ET3 portals too. And yes, as far as connecting them, will you be able to go from one pod in one system to the other? If it fits in our system, I don't see why if it gets near our portal we can't put it in it.
Right.
So yeah, exactly.
Unless it's a square peg in the round hole, then or the hole's capsule's too big for the tubes, then yeah, you're going to be able to do it. So one of the things is about the loading stations and how it's going to be designed. Basically, you'd have the main track, and you'd push a signal or signal the car to get off on that, and it would get off onto a separate parallel ramp, or maybe even 2 separate parallel ramps, where you could literally where you wouldn't be able to hold traffic up. I was thinking like a secondary tier after that. So you pull off to this ramp, and then they line up, and then they pop off into another thing, so that anyone can access this. And I'd like that to be able to access from 2 sides at once, because you really want to be able to load people into the vehicles quickly a lot at once. You don't want to be sitting there waiting for a pod or cause traffic, because you're just going to jam up traffic in other areas if people can't exit and enter the system at every portal easily without backing up other. Because if you have for example, if it's like a train, if it's like a carriage and you have to wait in a line, and someone's at the front of the line and they're taking way too long to load, you don't want them backing up other cars behind them. So you'd have to have the pods jump off the main unloading track or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it'll be like a kind of a conveyor belt. So think, really, it's kind of like going to an amusement park ride. So, and if you figure a roller coaster, we timed it about every 26 seconds, 30 seconds, a roller coaster takes off. So every airlock at ET3, about every 26, 30 seconds, a new capsule can enter the airlock. And the great thing is that you can always scale that up when the demand is needed. So if there is a wait, if we're averaging at peak times, 15, 20, 10-minute wait, then you just add another one. Boom, you can immediately start doing an extra 800 people. And then it gets so popular you need to add another one, then you add another one. You could stack them, about a 50 by 100 space of land. You can stack them, or, if you have the space, you could put them next to each other. And yes, you make the request to the system. So you said if you're traveling and you need to go, you're making requests. So you can never exceed the capacity of the incoming of the station that you're going to, or while you're entering the system. It'll all be automated.
Right, and the amusement park ride though isn't exactly the best analogy. We've all waited for hours in lines at
Yeah.
amusement parks to get in rides.
But
So
imagine if they could just keep stacking it up, though, and there would be. Imagine if the
if they
demand.
could, if they could load more coasters on safely and
Yeah.
have them on the same track and whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can see that. It's there's going to have to be some design in the loading stations and how these systems are going to work because like think of a subway platform, a normal subway platform, but instead just have like doors where pods are that you can just and then like when a fresh pod comes in, it comes in and the door opens up and then you can get on or you have to scan your card first and then it opens up and you can get on. It's like green light, there's a card here, so some kind of system that it's going to be. And I'd love to build a like scale model like like a set just to show people a demo of what the future stations could be like, just so they can see some of these ideas.
We have a group in the Netherlands that is going to be releasing a very nice 3D of what a station would look like, a portal we call them. And maybe you could 3D print it. That'd be sweet. You could actually have the first physical ET3 portal, just be a lot smaller. But we're going to build the real thing soon, Jeremy. So you're going to be able to ride this in 2 years, and we can figure out all these problems. Ticketing. I was just in Vegas.
You got to get the demo going because the demo, I think, is the most important thing to getting people to realize the technology and getting a live demo working where people can go and ride on it and see it. And like, even if it's just at an amusement park or somewhere, I don't know all the details. I know you guys are getting a demo going. You can't share all the information with me about it just yet.
I'll tell you what I can share is that we are very close to securing our land. We need 3 miles of straight, flat right-of-way in a place that can attract the right traffic. Because we want to open this up for people to ride it themselves. So, and even look at Virgin Galactic. The spaceship has even gone up, or is even scheduled to go up. They've already sold, 200 tickets at $250,000 a pop. Wow. The demand for some, and I was in Vegas, and yes, we were looking at possibly putting this in Vegas, although it's no longer in the lead. But I was looking at the new Ferris wheel. The biggest Ferris wheel in the world is now in Vegas. $25 during the day, $35 at night. I think people will pay a lot more for ET3, but we'd like to keep it in that type of price range where everyone will be able to.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, at first, because it's the only ET3 out there ever, you're going to be the first person to ride this thing, which is going to be the future of transportation technology. And it's like, yeah, I could be the first person. It's not like everybody's ridden a Ferris wheel before, unless they've never been to one. I don't know. I don't know too many people that haven't, but I don't know. It's something a lot cooler.
Most of us have already ridden in tubes at water parks.
Yeah, that's true. That's a lot of fun too, by the way.
That is fun.
But so another problem, I get this question all the time, and it's going to need to be addressed with this. There's going to need to be off stations and side ramps every so often on this thing, everywhere it goes, even on the long distances, in case there's a rupture or something happens in the tube, it breaks. It needs to go into like a slow down chamber or have some sort of way that it can divert and go somewhere else. You know what I mean? There's got to be ways to prevent that from happening, because everyone's telling me like it would be so easy to sabotage this thing with terrorism or something like that happening. I get this question. This is one question I get all the time, so I have to ask it.
Yes, of course. The stats. More people are killed by bee stings than terrorism, and
that's true. That's true.
So some of this is it's fear-based, and compared to a train, which you can carry, high-speed trains going 200 miles an hour, it's pretty easy to derail that train. That's 1,000 people that you can possibly kill.
One derailed recently in New York. I think 14 people died, and
or the bus crash. On just yesterday, there was a FedEx truck and a bus full of high schoolers. 10 people died up in Northern California.
Wow!
Fiery crash. Whole bus was just charred. So you got to remember the two main reasons that we have accidents today are not controlling the right-of-way, human error. ET3 eliminates both. Well, let's go back to the terrorism issue.
Yeah, the most people, even if the tube was full
derail
at max capacity, you know, how many people would die in a terrorism incident on ET3 versus how many people die in car accidents and on airplane crashes and in train accidents and every other mode of transportation, riding bicycles.
First of all, there are going to be sensors everywhere. So someone, if the tube were to get punctured, say if a meteorite were to hit it, okay?
Yep.
And just totally, and it's like a complete breach. Within a second, that section of tube or the route of the network, you know, is isolated. Now, what you then flood the tubes with air at just the right apertures. They pop open, and then it acts like airbags for all the other capsules. So yeah, a couple capsules might fly out at the end or be affected, you know, but that's a lot better than 1,000 people. And yeah, you're going to be stuck there, and we're going to have to come rescue you. But you'll be alive, which is a lot better than losing your wings at 40,000 feet. And you're not going to run out of air because there's going to be air. We flood the air with tubes, and then the capsules open up. You get air you'll have fresh air. We're just waiting there, and then we come save you. And everything is GPS, and we know your vitals, and you know all this stuff. We know how people are doing in there, and we can go to the we know who's in our capsules. So if there's someone with a heart condition, the old people, the women, you know, the elderly and the children will get saved first. So we will know who's in there. But listen, these are worst case scenarios. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not. And
it's not going to happen.
If it does, then it's even less deaths and people die of car accidents or bee stings or anything else. So it's not that it's that big of a deal. And we'll deal with that if it does happen. And that's just a really freak accident kind of case. And so, anyways, the superconductors. Currently, you're going to be using liquid nitrogen to cool these, and is there like a refrigerated container? I mean, what happens if that breaks or leaks, or you know, is there going to be any worries about that? And how does that exactly work with the superconductors that you're going to be using, and this one you're building in Nevada or wherever? Yeah,
the high temperature superconductor maglev. That's what we've identified as the best right now, and as far as what to cool it with? Liquid nitrogen, propane. It's getting it to that state, and I forget the temperature. I think it's negative 73 Kelvin. But where it becomes. I just like to call it a magic crystal.
It would be 73 Kelvin and not negative 73.
It's 70 Kelvin. Sorry about that.
It might be negative 70 centigrade actually. Because that's what liquid nitrogen's at generally. So, that's but anyways.
Yeah, all this is it's in the patent. Read the patent. It's in their new patents that have just been filed on their patent pending on some of this. So
and how can people find the patents for that online? You want us to do? Should I provide links?
The original ET3 patent should be on the ET3 website. There should be a link to it somewhere on there.
ET3.com. Yep.
And I will be sure to get it to you too. I have it. I can email it to you right now.
So anyways, Nick, we're approaching the half-hour mark, so I think this would be a good spot to take a break, and we'll come back after this short message from our sponsor.
Excellent.
Addicted to Ink, a proud sponsor of the Zaraza Entertainment Network, is Westchester's premier tattoo, piercing, and apparel destination, offering only the finest tattoo and piercing services as well as the best atmosphere you will find. Addicted to Ink is located conveniently at 38 Westchester Avenue in White Plains, New York, right across the street from the Westchester Mall. If you got the itch for more ink, like the Zaraza boys do, get your work done right. Visit www.addictedtoinktattoos.com for more information.
Are you sick and tired of being sick and tired?
Yes.
Does the stress of daily life seem just like too much?
Yes.
Are you simply fed up?
Yes.
Do you wish you could just make it all chill out?
But how?
Well, then you need a Royale grinder. Royale grinder is a jumbo-sized 2.5-inch diameter premium 4-piece herb grinder that fits in the palm of your hand. With 50 closely interlined, everlasting chunky teeth that will keep on shredding whatever enters your chamber.
I can use it for all my herbs. Thanks, Royal Grinder. I'll never feel shitty again.
Order now at www.royalegrinders.com. That's
You're watching the Zadaza Entertainment Network on ZenLive.tv.
Okay, Jeremy, and we are back.
What's up? I'm here with Nick Garzilli. He's the CEO, is it, or COO of ET3.com?
I'm currently the COO.
Yeah. Daryl's the CEO.
Yeah, he's the founder. He's the founder inventor.
Yep, Daryl Oster. And Daryl Oster, what's he been doing with the Chinese? He's got something going on there, too, that you can't tell me too many details about, or what's going on with that?
No, I mean, that really the Chinese rolled out the red carpet for him about 10 years ago. And because they have their type of maglev, it doesn't really have any practical uses in current transportation, and we have a technology swap with a Chinese university out there, and numerous papers have been published from China as well. But as far as what the Chinese government kind of took things over, so we don't know exactly. For all we know, they could have capsules already going 1,000 miles per hour
underground and hidden tunnels. Yeah.
But they're still trying to sell the trains to us in California. So why would they say, "Oh, we have this," while they're still trying to sell us the train?
Yeah.
So,
that's what I don't get is I don't understand if the military has built all these tunnel systems under the ground like some of these people say with those rock tunnel boring machines and the rock conflagration technology. Someone said they could do 100 miles a day underground back in 1950, and just think about how many tunnels they have underneath the ground. And I don't know if I believe those numbers. I mean, why aren't there people from these companies who've worked for these rock companies to drill and inspect and make these tunnels? I mean, where are those guys? I'd like to be able to talk to some of them. They must be able to find some company that knows something about this. But anyways, I don't want to get too much into all the conspiracy stuff. That is a real big interest. I know I'm going to get a lot of people wanting to know more about that. And but that would be the ideal situation, is if they could build those types of tunnels underneath the earth like that to build these ET3s in. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know as far as what has been built before. If you look at the Rancor paper, it's a much bigger vehicle floated on liquid helium. It just doesn't. I don't think it's cost effective like ET3.
Right.
That particular technology doesn't mean it doesn't mean it never was tested. We might not know. Maybe,
there may be certain places like in cities where you don't want to go overhead for some reason, where it might be more effective or something. But to go underground, but
going under LA might make sense at certain things. But really the only big thing with ET3, it's the visual intrusion. So if you can deal with the visual intrusion, we can put this over a sidewalk. Because remember, there's no ground vibration and it's totally silent, and it can't hit any kids or other cars.
Right.
So it will be interesting to see how people, if cities wanted above or below ground. But yeah, certainly cutting corners and keeping it, we got to make sure that you don't experience weightlessness as you go over a little bit of a hill, in ET3. So it's just figuring out what the right operating speed is for that, and getting as straight of a line as possible so we can go as fast as possible. And sometimes you have to go underground, but compared to a high-speed train, you only have to move 1/18 the amount of dirt.
Now that would be super interesting to be able to go to shrink the world in the way that transportation would do, where you could just get on one of these pods, drive it, maybe even like a pod that you have like a car in your driveway, this little go-kart thing, and you drive that to a station where it links up and just pulls you up on another conveyor belt, which brings you over to the bigger high-speed rail. You get inside another tube, and next thing you know, you're halfway to China. You know, I just think
that's
how
what will happen. I think that's definitely going to happen in our lifetime.
it's gonna happen, and I think that's so amazing what it would do to our economy, what it would do to just the ability of getting places and quickly. You know, the traffic jams that are such a huge problem in big cities. They're terrible here in Boston. I know they're terrible out in L.A., New York. I've driven in these cities, and
look at the incredible waste of time of our current transport modes.
Absolutely.
I live in LA, so it's ridiculous. So, and all the time, not just time and money, and time is money for almost everyone.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we spend time sitting in traffic to pay for the car, you know, and then the gas and all this stuff, and we just sit there, and then all the fumes then give us health problems. And that then gets socialized. It's just a complete mess. But listen, these monopolies will be broken, and just like rotary telephones had their swan song, so will these. We'll call them classic modes of transport, because what I want to see is eventually no traffic on the roads. The only thing on the roads are classic cars.
Yeah, classic antique cars like
antique
like
cars,
56 Chevy, all
nice,
polished up.
Stuff that's and also nice cars. You will never get rid of the car.
No.
You're never going to get completely rid of the car.
And even if we ran out of gasoline altogether, you could still make ethanol fuel to run the old cars on anyway, and you could still they'd still find a way to do it, and it would be an expensive thing for connoisseurs and rich collectors and stuff. But yeah,
there will always be car racing.
So I don't know.
Like there's always horse racing. There's always be horse racing. Horses preceded cars. So
there's got to be some way. What do you think the cars of the future are going to be? Or even these little tiny pods that you could drive from the station to your home garage and back and forth. Even those. Do you think those would be battery powered or hydrogen powered or
I don't know. Look at the Elf. The Elf is human powered with a little electric motor. I mean, there's so many different things you could do for that last mile. It's going to be a mismatch, I think. It's going to be people walking too.
Yeah, or biking.
Walk because you can walk. Like if there's a J-Pod, and I listened to your whole interview with Bill James, and that was great. I listened to it when I was waiting to get on a flight to Vegas. But yeah, you'll have a J-Pod station every less than quarter of a mile away from wherever you are in the city. So you just walk there. Yeah, I mean. Because you don't need to deal with parking your car, and you can go from point A to point B. You can all of a sudden you're walking more.
What would that do? We just spend so much time, and then parking and parking tickets, and the traffic jams, and
you get somewhere, and then there's I bet a lot of parking accidents
transportation is just
in the parking garage. A lot of stuff happens in the parking garage.
Yeah, your car gets messed up, you're broken into, and you leave too much change in your center console, and next thing you know, someone.
No, you'll be able to have a pod or a capsule that parts itself. You get off or you go somewhere, you walk 3 miles, and then boom, you order it, and it comes and picks you up. Can you do that with a car? No, you have to make a trip if you have a car parked somewhere.
Another thing I was thinking is that you'd have a central state for the public pods that aren't your private pods and stuff. For the public pods that would go around, you'd have to have them all go back to like some central cleaning station somewhere before they jump back into the circulation or something. Would you do that, or have at least have a button that people could push and be like, no, this pod's dirty, send it to the cleaning station? That would just send it automatically to a cleaning station.
If there were public pods, like real low cost, like subsidized, if you want to subsidize people, listen, there's nothing stopping MTA from getting from having their own public pods. Okay, and they would have their own operation.
That's true. Yeah,
their capsules, they could be stripped down minimum there, and they could they could have their own capsules that wouldn't be nice, but it'd be really cheap.
Say I didn't like your loading system. Say that your traffic loading system for your pods and your station were too inefficient, and I wanted to open one next door, and I thought that I could redesign your technology. Same tubes, same things, but I could redesign your loading systems and the technology for the pods there better, and I can fit more people and have a higher traffic, and then I can.
And that's one of the things about the ET3 consortium is that you can add to the IP.
Right.
If you have a patent, you can add to it, and then we share in those profits.
Right.
So the whole idea is this is continually evolving, and that this is not an exclusive license; this is an inclusive license.
I like that because I could design my pods and make them look like super cool and different than yours, and be like, no, ride in mine.
And if the market it makes sense, then you'll see other companies start to buy your pods or whatever, or start to adopt your methods or technology. At some point, does it make sense? Just like companies do now, does it make sense to upgrade to this new technology? I'm talking to a building developer that doesn't, even though Cat 7 or Cat 8 internet is available, it's too expensive still to put in even the nicest high-rises in Miami.
Right. So this thing gets built in Las Vegas. I think that's going to be the kickoff. I think once people see a live working model, that's been the case with all these other technologies, theoretically, yeah, but until you build something for someone to see and it works, I think that's the defining moment that people will really realize. I think I've got a lot of people sold on the vision of it just from describing it in the videos that I've put together already. But I think once people really see that taking off and ride, I know that there's people that have ridden on it and that you can go and ride on it. I think that's going to be the thing that really kicks it off. And it's going to be huge. It's going to be pretty huge once it does kick off. I think that people, or we at least have to work hard to keep that momentum going and keep more people getting on board with the company ET3 so it can grow as a company and continue to evolve with and incorporate new technologies and ideas into the system, like I was mentioning with that 2D tin staining superconductor, STANENE, staining, not like staining, like. Anyways,
yeah, I mean Jeremy, the whole idea is to make the Jetsons real.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I'm actually kind of curious. What would your viewers, listeners think about calling it the Jetsons ride? And going after that franchise, would that be? Because all the news stories are like it starts out, meet George Jetson, and then it talks about how Hyperloop.
Make it Jetson Enterprises. I don't know.
It just be the Jet. I mean, honestly, you just. I've been trying to make it into a movie for a long time, but it's fine. This technology is here. I mean, there's technology everywhere. It just needs to be free. And the dam's going to break, and technology is just going to usher in this golden age. That's at least the way I see it. I'm an optimist.
Yeah, free is a big issue because right now these superconductors, assuming what are you going to use, a bunch of small ones? I don't think you could actually. It would be feasible to really build one that big. I mean, how big are you going to need to make these, and how much is that going to cost? Do you have the numbers on that for us? Like.
I mean, I know cost per mile of ET3, so it's about 1/10 the cost of a high-speed train, and maybe $2-3 million a mile eventually. I know our demo that we want to build is just a single tube, one capsule to show that it works. About 15 million, 10 to 15 million, depending on soil conditions, location, other stuff, and but. Eventually people can be able to buy tubes. Remember, there might be a way to do this where instead of just kind of the institutional investors, where people will be able to buy, say, a section of tube 25 meters long for $100,000.
Kind of like the internet. The internet, they have these companies that are hubs and they buy up network and, routing centers and stuff and resell it,
there's ways to do this. Could be a physical asset. So there's so many different ways to do this. Anyway, I kind of lost track of where I was going there, but
yeah. So the superconductors, though, that to me is like the biggest thing. I bet you. I don't know if you knew this, but I got on Michio Kaku's Q&A, and I got him to answer a question about ET3. And he just basically is the typical response about the need for room temperature superconductors and superconducting material, which I talked about already, the 2D tin and stuff. But it's interesting that superconductors now, they cost so much, literally $200 for like the little wafers for a test kit, and I'm thinking of how much you'd have to buy of in the yttrium and the barium, or yttrium, barium, copper oxides, or whatever the best, the cheapest conventional high temperature superconductor brand that's on the market now. I'm just worried that it would be too expensive, and then having to buy so much of this material for each one of these capsules in order to have enough lift to float them and suspend them. I'm wondering if it would drive up the price for these materials, or if of course, the markets would probably have to shift around. If suddenly there was a huge demand for large quantities of this stuff, I'm sure companies would pop up that could build more of this materials to come up with the demand.
Yeah,
but
last time I checked, I think the price of the system of that is those materials is about 20 to 30% of the price. So
yeah,
and most
significant.
of it is actually is the size, and because remember ET3 uses 1/18th the amount of magnets that it takes to levitate a train as well. So Daryl has crunched all these numbers. We've talked about the world supply of rare earth minerals, and he's confident that those, even if those prices were to go up by 50, 75, even 100%, it wouldn't throw us off by that much. Right.
Well, that's interesting. I know that's been a question of mine even before I had that question, but it sort of re-sparked my interest into looking more into that after I got that question answered by him. I thought that that was at least a valid point about the superconductors. 20% to 30% is a significant percentage of the cost of the vehicle, and if you were to be able to create room temperature superconductors, they would shrink that. It would shrink that cost quite considerably. And the wafers themselves are fairly easy to make, but you have to rely on a supply of yttrium, and Colin just pointed out in the chat here. So, but anyhow. How are we doing on time? We got about 15 minutes left. So anything else that you wanted to talk about, Nick? Let's run the last bit of this down. We got like 15 minutes left to wrap it up. So anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I just want to stress that ET3 is not like anything that's ever been done before. And as you said earlier, there's a tremendous opportunity for people to get involved with ET3 right now. And as soon as we start building, and I promise this will happen. I promised 6 months ago it would be happening by now, so I'm not putting any definite timetables on it. Well, I say it's going to happen very soon. And it's going to be really what we need now is to spread awareness. A lot of this is political as well. So I just really get involved with ET3. Go to the Facebook site and like it and invite your friends and talk to people about it. Take the time to learn about the technology. Read the Journal of Modern Transportation papers. So when you do talk to people about it, you can answer their immediate questions. And go to the ET3.com website and look at the frequently asked questions and the facts. And a lot of the questions that you naturally have are all answered there.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I know that a lot of them are answered there, but not everyone's going to go there and actually read through them all, and so I have to answer them a lot of them here, or ask them again at least. So I apologize for that, but yeah, there's a lot of materials on the ET3 website, and also in the articles that you mentioned. I also recommend checking out the other videos that we did on ET3 in the past, and some of those, and some of the other reviews that have been done. But what else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No. See what else? Like I said, just get involved.
Get involved because it's going to.
If there are any more questions, I could see if I could get an answer with, or visions of the future and stuff, or just talk. I'd be happy to talk.
Well, I think that it's key to get involved in something like this now, because when this does get built, it's going to be super huge, and they're going to be linking all the major cities, and you're going to be like, oh, why didn't I buy into Bitcoin 2 years ago? You're going to be like that kind of a situation later on, where you're like, I knew this was going to be like the future. So everyone told me this was going to be, the future of something, and I didn't want to get involved with it early on. And there are people that got involved with Bitcoin and lost a lot of money in those other things that happened early on because of what Bitcoin was. But those were sorry.
Just to let people know that the first project is right around the corner. So if you know people that are interested in this, want to be part of this, or somehow think your company could help, then contact us, ET3 at ET3.com, and put in the subject line ET3 demo.
Right. And people in Nevada that companies or people that want to get involved in helping to build the future, the space age, the Jetsons transportation system, what it's going to be. Get involved now, because this is, I don't know, that's all I have to say is you're stupid if you don't get involved now, because it's going to happen regardless, And
I don't know who's ever called. I do this sometimes. They're great people to talk to, but call your congressman, call your local politician.
Yeah.
Call the people, your local transportation provider. Listen, I know it's frustrating, because it seems like, but it's just, listen, you're planting seeds. You're planting seeds. So when it does hit, they all pick it up, and then they're all going to be clamoring to get their ET3 portal. But you have to plant the seeds, and then you plant the seeds wherever you are. Listen, we have, the way ET3 set up, we have ET3 Global Alliance, and then under it we have 164 subsidiary companies, one for each state in the nation, and then one for each country that we want to operate in. And we're going to need to staff those companies. So get involved with us now, and let us know where you are, where on this earth that you are, and we will take down your information. We'll know that we have contacts there. We need contacts all around the world to pull this off.
Yeah, all you have to do is go to the ET3 site and register for an account there, and just leave some information about yourself in the registration form, and say, hey, get involved, or at least get your name down, and so that when we need future contacts in those areas and wherever you're from, that we can reach out to you at a later date and link up with you to help build this thing.
And the reason why we did that is that every country, every state kind of has different laws and different jurisdictions, and we need people there that can help ET3 execute on the global routes and vision of this all. And, land issues in Texas could be different than they are in, Illinois. And we don't, at this point, we don't have enough resources to be everywhere at once. I mean, we really have done amazing things with very little. We've never spent a dime on advertising, and we've been all over the place.
Yeah, well, the news picked it up. I remember I was sitting with my friend having lunch, and it came on the TV, and I was like, and I never watched TV, but it was like Hyperloop, and they talked about these evacuated tubes and Hyperloop on TV, and I was like, whoa, this is cool. Like, a lot of other people are picking it up. So even people in the media or news, this is an awesome topic to talk about and do a story on, because it's going to be the future someday. I know it is, and it's just that you can go so much faster. You can go faster than jets. That means you can get places faster than jets. So it's like Jetsons is almost funny, because it's like jets was the old the old time mode of transport, but we got something better now in the Jetson days.
Well, yeah, until they have jets that go into space, and then you're going from, I guess Branson wants to get you from England to Australia in like half an hour. I don't think ET3 will ever do that. But that's going to be for the super rich elite. This is for everyone.
Yeah, this is for the entire entirety of humanity. You know,
Could you imagine? Then all of a sudden, potable water, the best healthcare in the world, is accessible to the poorest in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, so if they're rare disease, boom,
Put them to work.
Put
Put them
that
to
family
work
in a
building
capsule
more
and get them-
tubes, connecting up the continents and stuff too. Like it would put our economy back to work to build these things. It would be like it
Instead
could
of
be
a
like the
40,
Eisenhower Transportation Act. You know, I think more politicians should really look at this too and take this seriously. I didn't know if the politician hasn't even at least looked at this or know anything about this. I mean, that's a big problem is so many politicians don't know anything about science or technology and they don't see the trends that are coming because it's evolving so fast now. It's at like an accelerated pace and it really is has so much to do with everything right now about the future. And I think that more politicians should be paying attention to it. So I definitely think that's a great idea. You said to reach out to these people and just at least let them know, you know.
Well,
Send
let
them
them
a
know
link.
that we're in the final stages of building this thing, and just get them thinking. Okay, well, what are you going to do when it works?
Yeah,
what are you going to do when it works? Are you going to prepare? Are you going to be last in line? Or
Are you going to be
because no
filling
one
up your
wants
tank
to
at
be
the
first.
gas station?
Yeah.
Are you going to be driving your automobile to work or broken down, changing your tire on the side of the highway? Where are you going to be, you know?
Yeah, or everyone knows someone that's died in a car accident.
Yeah, I know a couple people who have. They're dead. They're still dead. They're going to be dead for a while. It's, you know.
Yeah, I mean.
But anyways, that was a joke. I was expecting you to laugh, but
what else? I guess we got a couple more minutes left.
Yeah, so the future, get involved with this now. Learn as much as you can about it yourself. Read a couple of the FAQs on the website. What's the other document you mentioned? The
Journal of Modern Transportation.
Journal of Modern Transportation. I'll put links to that in the description of the video and everything, so people can check all that stuff out. And so send me those links, Nick. And
yeah, get in touch with us. Let us know where you're at, what your skills are. We'll give you some good ideas on how to get involved in your local area, and then just prepare for the big announcement. And
this is just one thing too. You know, J-Pods too. That's taking off. That's a real company down in New Jersey. They're starting to build those things too. They've got deals worked out, and a lot of other European countries and China and other countries are looking at this stuff seriously.
Yes, we're building the physical internet.
They all want to live in the West. They all want to live kind of like the Western world, but they don't have the technology to do it. And we're running out of gasoline. We're running out of fossil fuels. So this has got to be the next step. This is going to be the future, is these hybrid transportation networks and systems. And it's all about getting on these companies and doing the R&D early on so that you could come out on top in one of these fields. I mean, investors should be investing in R&D into this seriously, because the company that solves these problems first and the fastest is going to be the one that is going to come out on top in this massive transportation takeover here. Because look at all the money that's been made on oil and gasoline and cars and selling vehicles, and just all based on the market demand for transportation and the need to get places. And if you are the next step in the evolutionary process, you know, once we are no longer can use cars or cars, you know, can be replaced or even a replacement for cars, as hard as that is to make. And with Tesla getting shut down in a lot of these states and people not allowing, the EV1, what happened, they bought them all out and crushed them all. You know, it's as hard as it is to compete in these fields with the oil companies and the car companies. You got to do your part and do it for the future of humanity.
Yeah, we need to stop subsidizing inefficient modes of transport. We need to stop subsidizing the oil companies too. And
I agree. So anyways, we got like a couple minutes left. I want to wrap it up at any time now. So just say anything else you want to say. Give your last plugs. Nick Garzilli, thanks for coming on with us. Anything else you want to say before we peace?
No, just again, Jeremy, thank you for all the stuff you do, and for also for ET3, all the stuff you do. And I'd like to thank Colin Hicks for getting me on the show, and onwards and upwards. That's it.
Definitely, yeah. Thanks, Colin. Colin's been hooking me up with some really killer guests lately. He's got a guy from the 100-Year Starship program coming on. I think maybe next week. I'm not sure. Maybe the week after that. Stay tuned next week for another awesome show. Again, Zen Live TV. Thanks to my producers. Everyone, check out Zen Live TV. AlienScientist.com. Thanks for watching, and that's a wrap.